Feeling overwhelmed by your home? I've got 10 things for you to declutter today. Number one, books. If you're a book person, try to narrow down your collection to just your absolute favorites. I know for me, one thing that makes me feel better about getting rid of books is instead of donating them to, say, Goodwill, I will donate them to my local library. In my head, this means they're going to end up on the shelf and then I can borrow them as I see fit and as I need to. And it makes me just feel like I have access to them without having to keep them in my home. Try to utilize your library and just, again, borrow books. There's also, of course, electronic books on Kindles and things like that. So if you're a parent, we are going to declutter toys that are broken. Of course, we want to go ahead and get rid of those. We don't want to encourage more breaking of toys. And also that goes with books as well. I know I just touched on books, but for children's books, if they are broken, ripped, I recommend getting rid of them because I think a ripped book encourages more ripping. That's my personal opinion. And then on children's books as well, we need to rotate them and maybe donate them to the library too. So back to toys though. Broken toys, toys that are no longer used, and a great way to figure out if toys are no longer used is to use toy rotation. I will link either an article or a video I have on that. Check for that in the description. And that talks a little bit more about how you can implement toy rotation and then you can determine which toys are no longer loved and used and go ahead and declutter those. Number three is paperwork. Are you a paper hoarder? I struggle with this at times, but I also can be reasonable. And if it's something that I know I'm not going to need or I can find the information easily, I'm decent at getting rid of it. Another tip is say you have a piece of paperwork that you need to keep for a year. Just, I don't know, say it's a 1-year warranty or something like that. And you feel the need to keep it for a year. When you put that paper away in whatever filing system you have, right at the top of it, a recycle date or a discard date when you can get rid of that paper. This way, later when you go through and you are decluttering paperwork, if you see that date at the top, you automatically know that goes in my recycle pile. So try to eliminate paperwork where you can and try to manage it and keep it at a minimal of what's actually important, useful, needed, and necessary to keep. 4 would be makeup. If you have any expired makeup, it needs to go. I also recommend when it comes to makeup, not making impulse buys. Don't grab random makeup at the store. Instead, find your staples and stick with them. You know you have favorites. You have a favorite foundation or mascara or eyeshadow. You know you don't need all the makeup you have. You tend to go for your favorites and your daily basic makeup look. So let's eliminate makeup and first start with expired stuff. And then our next step would be to quit purchasing more makeup until we use what we already have. Number 5 is small kitchen gadgets and appliances. So when it comes to the kitchen, there's a tool for every job. Do you need that specific tool or would a knife and a cutting board do the job just as well? So eliminate where you can. Watch out for different phases you may have gone through and you may no longer be in. You may have gone through a smoothie phase where you bought all these different smoothie accessories and parts and pieces for your blender or one of your cups, and maybe you're no longer in that phase and it's time to declutter those items. Another way to go about this is putting some of these small appliances and gadgets into a box in the bottom of your pantry, for example, and then you plan to get rid of all these items, but if you find yourself in the next 6 months reaching for one of them and wanting to use them, you can go get it out of the box and put it back in your kitchen. Say, for example, an olive pitter. You put it in that box and you see if you use it, and if you don't in those 6 months, it's time to go. If you do find yourself using it and you're like, I want to keep this item, go for it. You have the right to do that, of course. 6 would be sheets and towels. I feel like some people have a lot of sets and some people do not. Some people have a good set of towels and a bad set of towels. I think the problem with keeping sheets and towels is that we know how much they cost and we know how much they cost to replace, and it can be expensive and it can get very expensive. So therefore we hang on to them. But the truth of the matter is, are you using those extra sets? Or for example, those old towels? When do you use these old towels? Are you always using the good towels, the new towels, the nice towels? Keep that in mind and go ahead and consider decluttering and cleaning out and just having what you actually use and what you actually need. Now, some tips here I will say, if your towels are feeling not as fluffy as they used to feel, or they have like almost like detergent buildup, you can do what's called stripping them. You basically put them in a bathtub, and I don't have the recipe on me right now, but it's a combination of like washing powder, borax, some chemicals we want to be careful with, of course, but they can actually strip your towels and help make them feel new again. So that's something you could look into with your old towels. And then a final tip I want to leave you with here is if you are going to declutter sheets and towels, if they're nice, I would recommend some sort of a shelter or donation center where those can go to people who truly need them. And if the sheets and towels are in really poor condition, not good enough to donate to people, consider donating to an animal shelter. Sometimes they use that for bedding or cleaning up messes and things like that. So ask your local shelter. Those might be better options than donating sheets and towels to Goodwill. So keep that in mind. Your pantry, we're gonna of course start with the expired food that just simply needs to go. And then we're gonna look for food that is old. It may not be expired yet. So go ahead and set that out on your kitchen countertop. And then the next thing we're gonna look for is not your staple items. It's gonna be your random ingredients that you used for a specific recipe one time or for one thing. We need to find a use for these items and go ahead and get rid of them and get them out of your pantry. Our pantries, I think, are best utilized when they have the basics. They've got pasta, they've got flour, sugar, ingredients that you can make a lot of food with. So let's go ahead and clean out the old, rotate things as needed, maybe wipe down the shelves, and just take an inventory of what we even have and try to declutter that pantry so you can better utilize the space and better utilize that food. We don't want to be contributing to food waste and having things go in the trash. We want to use what we're spending our hard-earned money on when we are buying it in the first place. So let's do our best to keep that pantry under control. Number 8 is seasonal attire. This is another struggle for me because I feel like with children, they're constantly growing. So I may have multiple like beanies for kids, but I don't know what size they're going to be in next year. So I hang on to them, yada, yada. You end up with quite a surplus of stuff. Make sure you are going through those piles and realizing, okay, I'm done having kids. Some of the small stuff needs to go. Or, okay, I've got 4 hats that are all a youth large. We don't need 4 in that size. We need to go ahead and keep our favorites and purge some of the rest. The same can be said for swimsuits. So this is going to be your winter attire, your summer attire. Go through and pare it down and have what you actually use. Now, you as an adult who ideally is no longer growing, you have your favorite coat, your favorite scarf, your favorite hat, and your favorite gloves. Try to eliminate having all the winter accessories that honestly you probably don't have time to even reach for, and you stick with your basics anyway. Let's declutter in these areas and minimize our seasonal attire. Number 9 is cleaning supplies. Have you ever moved homes and inherited a bunch of cleaning supplies under a sink or in a garage or something like that, and you don't actually use any of the items? They're not your jam. They're not what you're comfortable with or used to. So what I recommend is you go through your cleaning supplies and find the ones you don't actually use. You know what your go-tos are. Put those aside. Let's find the ones you don't use. Let's read the labels, see if there's something we're comfortable using, where we can use them, and let's put them in the front and use them up. Let's get rid of some of these containers. Clean them out. Do not allow yourself to buy any new cleaners until you've used up the randoms. And then moving forward, I would recommend trying to focus on multi-purpose cleaners. I've actually looked into the company Blue Land, and once we use up some of our current cleaners, we're really looking forward to switching over to their products. Not sponsored, not an affiliate. Maybe in the future, I got to give their products a try first, of course. But I want to minimize my cleaning products and supplies in general and try to streamline that. So that's a great area to declutter in your home. And finally, number 10, this one's kind of random, but it's just extra decor. If you've changed out the lamps in your living room, but then the old lamps you somehow put into storage in the basement or in a guest room closet, they need to go. You're not going to bring those lamps back out. There's a reason you got new ones. You no longer like that. Do not wait 15 years for them to come back in style. That is too long to store something. So go ahead and say goodbye to extra decor that you no longer have displayed in your home. Again, there's a reason you got new in the first place. Let's get rid of the old and clear out those storage spaces in our home. So that's what I have for you today. Those are the 10 items and areas I recommend you declutter. I hope this makes your home more clean, organized, streamlined, tidy, all the good things. We want to remove these items and clutter that are no longer serving you. So if something's not serving you, it needs to go. It needs to leave your home. I hope this helps you get your home back on track. Check out the description. I'll link some videos similar to this and any products that I think would be helpful for you. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you back at the next one. Thanks. Bye.